Shearer and 2 Daredevils and John Barstow. Let me at this time take the attorney announcement first for the record.
Your Honor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Blair Pena for the defendants, Stephen Shearer and 2 Daredevils. I'm in my conference room in my office, and while I don't represent John Barstow, he is also here in the conference room with me.
Okay, thank you. We can't see him, but I'm going to take your word for it that he's there. It's not an ideal setup for Zoom, but I recognize that we did this last minute yesterday, and that y'all were surprised. The best way to do Zoom is everybody has their own computer in their own room. But I recognize that may not be possible. So I can see them, I can see you. We have been having difficulty. There's a lot of feedback also, Ms. Pena, which is the only reason why we might shut this down and go to a second type of way, but we'll just have to see how it goes. As long as it doesn't corrupt the testimony, then I think it'll work. All right, I have Mr. Raza. Mr. Raza, I'm gonna ask that you state that you're here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
we don't see you on screen, so we just can hear you. Okay, now we can see you. We do not have Jan Barstow yet. I don't know where she is. We've been trying to get her here all morning. We've sent her numerous communications, and we're going to proceed without her. I hope she joins us when she gets a chance, because we know she's working. We know we've sent her the link multiple times through multiple staff members, and nothing yet. She also hasn't uploaded any exhibits yet, despite the court reporter trying to assist her most of the day yesterday. Same thing with you, Mr. Raza. We've been trying to assist you this whole time. This is a request from you guys, or at least a request from Ms. Barstow to be by Zoom. And so we're going forward over the objection of Ms. Pena, who wanted to be in person. And so all of these accommodations have been made for Ms. Jan Barstow, who as of this moment is not present, but we are going to proceed without her. So rather than starting with opening statement with her, I'll listen to Mr. Raza. He is the original plaintiff, one of the original plaintiffs in this case. And I will listen to his opening statement on the case, and then we will listen to Ms. Pena's opening statement on the case. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Pena.
Since Jan Barstow, one of the named plaintiffs, is not here, we'd actually move for a default judgment against the claims that she's asserting against our clients.
We're not going to do that yet, because we'll see. If she's not here in another 15, 20 minutes or so after we get started, let's do that. I don't know what's going on, but we'll come back to that. For now, let's do opening statements since Mr. Raza is here, and we'll see. Oh. There she is. Okay, so she's now on the screen. All right, and then they need to.
I need a link. Fahim got one, but I did not.
All right, we sent you a link several times. We will send you another link if you want it. Frenchie, will you send them a link again? It's the same link as yesterday, Ms. Raza.
Well, that's what I need to know. That's what I need to know. I'll go search for yesterday's link.
Well, we're going to just send you another email. Let us send it to you again. Well, we'll wait 3 minutes while that happens. Frenchie, if you could resend it to her so it's at the very top of her email one more time. We'll wait a few minutes. Thanks.
Your Honor, can I ask to take care of a housekeeping matter of pre-admitting exhibits?
Your exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Let's do that to move this along. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I can see them. I have in the box. I have defendants exhibits 1 through 32.
Yes, Your Honor. I only intend to pre-admit some of those. In doing this by Zoom, I've decided to become a lot more lean and mean. So
all right.
What I'd like to offer for pre-admission is D1, D2, 12, D13, D14, D and D32.
Okay. Ms. Barstow, Mr. Fahim, I know you have the box link. In the box link, you're able to see the exhibits. Yes. I'm looking at all of them too.
You mean my exhibit?
No, I meant the ones that Ms. Pena has loaded up.
Just a minute.
Marked as defendant's exhibit.
Your Honor, we also emailed our exhibits to Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza, and we conferred last week on the exhibits. Unless anything has changed, when we conferred last week, my understanding is there were no objections to our exhibits.
The ones you just offered?
Yes, Your Honor.
You need access to both. How can
Okay,
we,
hold on. We can't talk about exhibits while the court reporter is taking a record. So we are going to, for the purposes of discussing how to see their exhibits, I am going to pause the record and have Ms. Racanelli explain to Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza how to view an exhibit. At this time, let's go off the record. Ms. Racanelli, how would they be able to access defendant's exhibits? You're muted. You're muted.
Yes, I sent the box link, so the link allows you to see both sides' exhibits.
There you go.
Fill in a link.
Hold on, let's go back in the record. Over the past 24 hours, we have sent you more information about Bob's than any other litigant I've ever dealt with. We have sent it to you. The additional help is over. You either can access it or you cannot access it, but we're moving on. We have now, Ms. Pena has sent you these exhibits. You've discussed them with her last week. We have sent you the link. You have them in multiple different ways. And so I am going to assume at this point forward that the plaintiffs, Mr. Rahim and Miss Barstow, have everything. Because at this point, it is delayed. We have other things to do. I have other trials to try, believe it or not. And this is taking a long time to walk you through it. And we have been bending over backwards to walk you through it. So at this time, D1, D2, 11, D12, D17, D19, and 32 are all hereby admitted. All right, moving on. Now, we're going to get to opening statements. Ms. Barstow, you're first. You may proceed.
all right. This case involves the theft of a trailer, the theft of mail, and on the countersuit, they're trying to come back with leverage that we have been stealing their services, benefiting from their services by being there. My case is about, had our assets not been stolen, we would not have been there, and we didn't intend to be there. We didn't want to be there, and we had another location where we were going. But even knowing that, the defendant stole our trailer with all the assets that we were using in order to move and to support the new business that we were doing in another small town. That end of our business, Fahim tried to limp through without our own assets to support the new business that we had been counting on. He limped through in another town until I think in July he had to shut the doors. He couldn't keep it going. But by then we had incurred so many bills, so many expenses that you take on when you own a new business that we didn't have the flexibility to relocate. We would prefer to have gone, frankly, we would have preferred to have gone to Pakistan if he had not done his own business. But at the time, we didn't realize that we would be short of those assets and we would run into the situation. I maintain that had those wrongs not been to us, we would have been able to move on. And we wouldn't even be having a hearing.
All right, thank you. Mr. Raza, anything you want to add to that?
I won't take time. My basic plea is, as a plaintiff, if something has happened and the legal procedures are not adopted, then it is stolen. If they took our mail without adopting a legal procedure, if they have paper trail, they adopted it, I can withdraw everything. My clear things are like that. So that trailer was worth us, that harmed us. I lost my business, a lot of things. So Your Honor, my plea is just to investigate, or this trial could be proved. Do they have a paper trail? Do they adopted the legal procedure while taking things out? So that's the only thing, ma'am. Thank you.
Ms. Pena, I've asked you to unmute your screen because there's too much feedback here, and we'll unmute their screens maybe, but for now, if you could do your computer that you're looking at, I think that might result in better sound. Okay. No, that doesn't. Never mind. We'll go back to the other one. It's not great, but we'll do that. Hold on. But I'm going to have to mute and unmute as we go, which I know is not working, but it's because all of you are not in an ideal Zoom atmosphere, which is your own rooms together, away from everybody else with your own screen. That's how Zoom works best. And so I'm having to adjust on the fly. I am now unmuting the VBP conference room, but I need somebody to actually unmute it. I'm pushing it to be unmuted, but I need somebody to unmute it. And I'm going to have to do that all day, off and on. All right, now I guess, Ms. Pena, do your opening. Let's hope it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm assuming I have the ability to share screen.
Yes, you should. Hold on, let me make sure that you do.
Before I get started, Your Honor, one quick question. Were you planning on streaming this on YouTube? I had a couple of associates who were wanting to watch the trial.
We are streaming it, I believe. It looks like it's live and streaming.
Thank you. May it please the court, my name is Blair Pena, and I represent Stephen Schur and Two Daredevils, LLC. There are competing claims in this lawsuit. As you heard from the plaintiffs, they are suing my client and John Barstow for conversion and violation of the Theft Liability Act related to 3 items: mail, a storage trailer, and the contents of the storage trailer. Throughout this trial, I think it is very important for the court to keep in mind which claims are actually being asserted, because I'm anticipating that the plaintiff is going to want to litigate her termination from her prior employment and a whole lot of ancillary issues that do not directly relate to conversion or theft of these 3 items. The defendants, Your Honor, are countersuing for trespass and for unjust enrichment, and they're asking the court to award it reasonable rent, reimbursement of utilities, and attorney's fees under the Theft Liability Act, which allows the prevailing party to get an award of attorney's fees. I want to just introduce you to the people real quick who you're going to hear about today, Your Honor. Bob Barstow is the father of Jan Barstow, and he has several children. He's also the owner of Windy Point Park, and the pictures that you see in the back of my PowerPoint are from that park. Jan Barstow, the plaintiff, John J. Barstow, one of the defendants, and Richard Barstow are all the adult children of Bob Barstow. Richard Barstow is not going to testify as far as I know, but he's mentioned in some of the communications, which is why I've put him up here on the screen. As you know, Mr. Raza is Miss Barstow's husband, and in 2023, Two Daredevils LLC entered into a lease agreement with Bob Barstow and his entities to lease and manage and run Windy Point Park. Mr. Schur is the owner of Two Daredevils, and so he is the person behind the management of Windy Point Park. If we look at the timeline, as I mentioned, my client's relationship with the park started on November 1 of 2023. At that time, Jan had previously managed and lived at the park, but she was fired. She was instructed to vacate a manager's trailer, and she refused. Now, when we talk about trailers, you're going to hear about 2 different trailers. One is the storage trailer, or it's also called Norm's trailer, which is the trailer, the subject of the plaintiff's claims against my client that they claim was stolen. You're also going to hear about the manager's trailer, which was a living quarters trailer located on the park, where the manager of the park was supposed to live in order to operate the park. This park allows for camping. People check in at all different times of the night, and it's necessary and convenient for the manager who's in charge of checking in all of the guests to actually live out in the park. Now, as part of the transition in the management, Jan was instructed to provide the mailbox key to Stephen Schur, and she refused. If we fast forward to January of 24, about 2 months later, Bob Barstow, the owner of the park, instructed Stephen Schur to replace the mailbox because the park was not getting its mail. At that point, Jan Barstow was the only person, Jan and Fahim Raza, were the only people with keys to access the park's mail. And months were going by without the tenant or the owner actually receiving its mail from the mailbox. Once the mailbox was replaced, Stephen Schur collected the mail. All non-Stephen related mail was provided to Jay or John Barstow, the other defendant, who sorted the mail for the various family members and eventually took Jan's mail to the post office because Jan refused to pick it up and didn't want to deal with Jay or John Barstow. Now, when it comes to our counterclaim, we fast forward to April 30th, and Jan is still squatting in the trailer, and this storage trailer that's known as Norm's trailer was removed. Bob Barstow, the owner of the park, is going to testify that he authorized its removal, and he was the owner of the park. Kristen, who is Jan Barstow's daughter, who also worked at the park, is also going to testify that a guy came into the park asking about the trailer and that Bob told him, "That's it, get it out of here." So the evidence is going to show that my clients had nothing to do with the removal of this trailer. Now in October, because of various problems with the lease and with Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza, my client and his company ended up terminating the lease. And all through this process, from November when my client signed the lease until October when he terminated the lease, Jan continued to squat. Jan and Mr. Raza continued to squat in the trailer. They were not paying rent. My clients were deprived of the full use of the property. And my clients were also paying utilities related to that manager's trailer. So, Your Honor, real quick, and just for reference, we did file a bench brief that generically outlines the elements that need to be shown for the parties to prevail. When it comes to conversion of the mail or the trailer and its contents, Jan has to show that she owned or had legal possession of the property. Under Chapter 501 of the Transportation Code, the trailer has to be titled in order to prove ownership. We have not seen a physical paper title related to that trailer up until the present day. On top of that, when it comes to the mail, Your Honor, Jan was a squatter, Fahim was a squatter. Neither one of them owned the park mailbox, and they didn't have a right to receive mail at a place that they had no right to be living. Now, element 2 is that Jan has to show that the defendants unlawfully and without authorization exercise dominion and control over the property, inconsistent with the plaintiff's rights. And the evidence is going to show that my clients, as well as the other defendant, John Barstow, had nothing to do with removing the trailer or its contents, and they didn't pay anyone to remove it. It was, in fact, Bob Barstow, the plaintiff's father, who authorized removal of the trailer and its contents. And when it comes to the mail, the park had a right to return mail to the post office because Jan was a former employee. The U.S. Postal Service has got guidelines on how you are supposed to handle mail for a former employee, and one of those options is return it back to the post office. The Texas Theft Liability Act, Your Honor, has many of the same elements, but I would point out that theft of mail doesn't apply to the Theft Liability Act. There's only certain types of theft that are included, and there is a specific penal code provision for theft of mail, but it's not included as far as the list of what is actionable under the Theft Liability Act. At the end of the day, though, for all of these claims, Jan has to show that she suffered damages, and she just simply can't do that, Your Honor, when it comes to this mail. They also have to show that they owned or had possessory right to the trailer and its contents. And Your Honor, I think this goes to, the generic possession is 9/10 of the law. If Jan wanted to possess this trailer, she should have moved it off of the park property where the trailer was not wanted onto her own property or area where she had a right entitled to be. And she never did that. She was instructed, if you want this trailer back in November, get it off of the property. And she had 5 months to do something about this eyesore that was located at the entryway of the park and that everybody would see as they were going into the park to access the water frontage and the other areas at the park. Again, we haven't seen the title, and the park property was not Jan or Fahim's property to store personal possessions on. We believe that this trailer was actually owned by a guy named Norm and that he gave it to the park. And when you look at the lease agreement gave the tenant, Stephen and his company, access to all trailers as well as the ability to dispose of any of those trailers. So while my client didn't actually have anything to do with the disposal, under the lease agreement, he had every right to get rid of junk that was stored on the property. And as I mentioned, Jan and Fahim had at least 5 months to remove the trailer, and they never did so. I'm going to skip through this. I mentioned earlier that my client's entitled to attorney's fees as a prevailing party under the Theft Liability Act. When it comes to trespass, that's really what we're going to focus on as far as our counterclaims are concerned. We have to show that Jan entered the property, it was without consent, and we suffered damages. And Your Honor, those facts are undisputed. Jan remained in the living trailer without consent. You're going to see multiple emails from her father saying, get out of the park, vacate the trailer. And when it comes to damages, Your Honor, the case law is clear that rental value, reasonable rent, is appropriate as far as trespass is concerned. We've also suffered damages when it comes to the utilities that we paid for her use and benefit, in which we weren't reimbursed for. Your Honor, that's all I have for you, unless you have any questions. Your Honor, I can't hear you.
Hold on now.
It's very muffled.
Okay, hold on. We may need to take a 5-minute break. This has happened before. All right, we'll proceed. Sorry about that. Okay, so plaintiff goes first in a trial. And so at this point, I know that Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza are pro se. I will allow them to testify in the narrative if they wish to testify in the narrative and tell their story. Now is the time for them to do that. We have given them multiple instructions and tried to assist them in their loading up of exhibits. We also have a exhibit list that their previous counsel gave, but I think as of now we have nothing from them in the box. So we'll do our best. I think at this point we'll just tell her story and then tell Mr. Raza's story. And then at another later date, maybe if she can figure out exhibits, we could work on uploading them later. I know Ms. Pena has uploaded a lot of things as well. So we'll just do the best we can. But at this point, Ms. Barstow, would you like to call yourself as a witness?
Yes.
All right, please raise your right hand and be sworn in. In the testimony you're about to give, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed in telling your story. And you do so in the narrative. You don't have to do it in question and answer. What I would ask is that if Ms. Pena starts to object, that you stop talking and we hear her full objection and allow the court a chance to rule on it. And then I'll either sustain it or overrule it, and then we'll keep going after that. Thank you. You may proceed.
All right. Ooh. There was, it is not germane to the case. You will hear some circumstances surrounding the firing. There is history, and it relays completely to current testimony that you're going to be hearing from some of the witnesses. In my narrative, there was a family coup, a takeover by one brother against my management. This would be my brother Jay. His name is John, but he goes by Jay. He ran an intense smear campaign and convinced my father that we had lost a lot of money for the park and that it was going down. And in truth, I had not shared a lot of information with Jay because of all the frequency of emails and messages. Sometimes is like 16 a day, deriding me and attacking me because I had held him accountable for a very expensive set of dangerous stairs that he'd been built at the park. I had to rebuild a different set of stairs, but it ran up a huge debt in large part from the dangerous stairs that he had built. But at that point, Stephen and Jay and Kristen started meeting at Jay's home and fomenting a coup. I was unaware of this until hindsight. I was unaware during the time, other than the frequent emails that I got deriding me to my father and to all the family members. When I learned that, I understood more what happened. What had happened is that Jay found somebody in the neighborhood to take over the park, introduced him as an expert in park management. And while I was on a 2-week stay in Pakistan to attend a marriage of a relative, while I was on the plane on the way back, I'll put it this way. When I left, my father was not transferring the park to anybody. I was still president and managing the park. The day before I came back, I talked to my father, and he still was not transferring the park to anybody. There had been clues that he was considering it, so I showed him a document called Red Flags. And I was pointing out things that I was concerned about Stephen, that he did not have, that the Two Daredevils was not even a registered company at the time he was negotiating in that name. That the lease that he was putting together was based on an apartment lease, and a professional doesn't use an apartment lease as a template. That, well, there were many things that in their tentative negotiations, such as he wanted to make Kristen a trustee of the park and take another brother's legal position.
Your Honor, I'd like to object on the basis of relevance. I've been trying to allow Ms. Barstow some leeway to give an introduction, but I feel like these issues right now are completely outside of the issues before you today.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to allow both sides 5 hours total because you announced for 2 days, and I'm going to allow some leeway here. I mean, we don't have to use the whole 5 hours, but I think with a dispute like this one, where there are family issues, I think some background is helpful to the court. So I'm going to overrule the background objection. I'm going to point out, and now I'm going to start keeping time because I certainly don't want us to go any further than 2 days. Again, that's 5 hours total, like opening, any direct evidence, any cross evidence, any closing, both sides, like together. So total plaintiffs, total defendants. I don't even think you'll use all of that, but I want to make sure we don't go over it. Okay, thank you.
At any rate, I had wanted.
I am going to have to mute you again, Ms. Pena, because it's so the sound is so much better when I mute you. So it just works a lot better. Maybe after lunch you can figure out a different setup, but for now, there's like a a background air or something that goes away when I'm muted. So it's just a much better record. Thank you.
This just explains, I'm trying to explain some people's testimony that you'll hear. And these were things I found out after the fact when I was looking at the records, and then it made sense because I was shocked when my father signed the lease to Stephen on the day that when I was on the plane on the way back from Pakistan. When I arrived, he said he had signed it. When I looked it over, I saw things that I thought were poor. I wanted him to run it past an attorney. And being president of the park, it should have been run past me as well to consider any lease or actions in the park. I was both president and manager, but nothing was run past me. It was done in my absence. Earlier that summer, I had hired Kristen to do the store at the park. I sent her some information on how to do QuickBooks because she's a divorced mother. And I wanted her to have a profession she might be able to fall back on. In the course of that, it appears that she gave the password to the accounts to Stephen. And some of the information they provided indicates that he was aware of accounts long before he was hired. And some of this conversation he was having with Dad was based on information he illegally got. I believe my father even wrote a note in one of the he did write a note in one of the management drafts that was illegally obtained when Kristen provided a password, because Stephen was not manager of the park at the time and should not have had access to the park's finances. And this is history, but it laid the groundwork for what had happened when I returned. I was hit with a smear campaign that I never knew could existed. My father was accusing me of, let me back up. My concern in the lease that I found, that I read the day after, involved insurance and a number of terms. You have the lease before you, and later I'll be calling that in. I think Ms. Pena provided it. Among the terms was that he was supposed to carry insurance, that he was supposed to transfer all the utilities in his name, and a professional business person would have a system for making those transfers. But as I'm presenting it, this was not the professional takeover as is being presented. I called the insurance agent because I argued with my father about the insurance because he was going to drop Windy Point Park insurance. As a family member and inheritor of the park, it's a multi-million-dollar park. I have a vested interest in not endangering the park. I called the insurance agent and I said, please do not drop the insurance until another insurance is secured. Keep the insurance intact. Don't let it go exposed. Because of those negotiations with my communications, then I was president of the park still. Even after the lease, I was president of the park at that time. So I had the right and authority to communicate on behalf in that position. I learned that his insurance was not in place under the terms of the contract. His lease did not take place until the terms of the contract were met. And because the insurance was not met, then officially the lease did not take effect. So there was like a no man's land in between. And I was trying to pressure my father to secure the insurance and don't let anything go bare. Offered the employees that I had at the time, they wanted to keep working at the park. They loved it. We had a 5-star park. It was like a Camelot. It was very successful, different from what people are presenting. We were using the easement fully. We were negotiating with other businesses on the lake so that they can have their own, so it could be a turnkey profit for us. They would have their own insurance, their own management, but we would partner with them for part of their profit. In other words, we were growing the park. We were on a trajectory. That was turned on its head, and it will be turned on its head in the accusations that they're going to make about how the park had soured. But that's different from the evidence that I would like to perhaps present. For example, I raised the social ranking score from 300 to a high 800s just within a matter of months. And that's because we had a bit of wrong information listed throughout the web. I had a very proactive marketing campaign, promotional campaign that I began in August of 23, that by the time of October had taken us up to 800. We were on a healthy trajectory. But my father had been soured that fall. And early that fall, he fired me as manager. And he said it was because I had lost money. Now I know where those words came from. It was, you will hear evidence here that I lost money for the park. But that was what they presented. That is not what had happened. Because my father had lost faith in me and had been provided wrong information, I offered to pay anything that he might have think was lost, because I asked him for evidence and he didn't have it. I offered to ask him, well, he did. He had a P&L from the spring before our busy part of the park. I apologize if I'm out of order, out of chronological order. Fahim and I had provided a P&L that had was poorly done. Some attributions were mislocated, were not attributed correctly. So it appeared as a loss, but it was in the spring after paying like $40,000 for stairs, my father's legal fees. I paid Jay $10,000 from the park funds for his office trailer that the park paid for. All of that had happened, and we bought a new vending machines and for Kristen and for her store, and we bought a compressor, dive compressor. All of those funds were before the height of the season, which is the summer. So it appeared a loss at that point. And my father relied on that document as how far down the park was going. But as a business, that's going to come up and down, and you know your busy season. So it's accountable. Nonetheless, I offered to my father that I would pay any losses that he found out of my own salary, because Fahim and I stood solid behind our operations of the park. I sought to bring in a businessman to partner with me to help with some of the family dynamics that were going on. We had experience with this gentleman before, Chuck Bloodgood. He had handled, he's able to get us all in one room without conflict. And he has saved us from poor contracts in the past. He used to review all of our old contracts, so he was known to the family. I wanted to bring him in as a co-manager, and I wanted to bring Cheryl back, who is a former accountant of the park. And I called both of them, and they both agreed. And my father vetoed it. He would not let the other business manager come in to create a little common sense in the operations. And my father did keep Cheryl, the accountant. That was good judgment on his part. I've never been shown any records of the losses, where the losses occurred. He didn't take me up on my offer. But at that point, he was negotiating with Stephen as to be a new manager, not as a lease, but as a new manager. When I vetted Stephen is where I found all the red flags, a company that didn't exist, and unprofessional behaviors and presentations, and wanting to make Chris a trustee to replace my other brother for the family, and there would just seem to be wrong. It was uncomfortable. I thought it was unethical. Others can decide, but this is why the history applies, because these people, they formed a very tight group, and the slander was very, very intense from this group. And my father is 95, and I'm afraid he was manipulated, and he was promised a rose garden. He was promised he could go sailing, live free, steady income. All he wants is the money in the last years of his life. And he was promised, basically he was promised a pipe dream, and he jumped for it. And that is what he wants. I'm going to jump forward. That was just the foundation of when I left for Pakistan. The the waters were muddied. I did talk to staff while I was gone, and I talked to my father. I called my father while I was in Pakistan, and he was sitting at the table in the park, at the front table in front of the fee booth. My father forgot to hang up the phone when we hung up. I was riding in the car with Fahim and my other brother, my son Sterling, and some other members of Fahim's family, and we overheard. Basically, it was a Bash Jan session at the table from Jay and Kristen that was going on in my father's ear. I was overseas, and there was nothing I could do. That's why when I called my father, I asked what's going on, and he said, "No, I'm not changing anything." So I was shocked when I came back. Oh, back up. Staff called me. They did not know I was listening to my father on the phone. They did not know I was overhearing those transactions. But they had called me later in the day because my father was, they said my father was so browbeaten, was so aggressively, I don't know the word for it. He wet his pants. And then he sat in it for 3 hours, and they offered to help him change, to be discreet. But my father was like, just, they were frightened. They wanted to call elder abuse on that day. I asked them if my father was all right now, and they said he was, that I think Kristen had taken him home. But that told me how harsh that day was. It was just like a couple of days later, my dad made that change. I can understand from my father's point of view. He wanted to be free from all that pressure. He would do anything to be free from all that pressure. And I don't care to pressure him similarly, but he has aligned with the group that he had been meeting with. And so he will come down harsh on me during this hearing. He can be he's my dad. He's my dad. He can be hard. I love him dearly, but his harshness is not a new thing. My father is like that. And you will hear it in his emails and in his demands. He's very blunt. When he fired me, when I came back from the park, I was not fired at that time on October 15th, 14th. My father asked me if I would work for Stephen, if I would stay on the park. At that point, I had been doing a great deal of promotional good for the park. And like I said, it was like a Camelot. It was a very popular, large family groups would come from out of town. Just word of mouth was very strong. And my father wanted me to stay on for the promotionals and to be the face as a member of the family still. I tried to negotiate. This was when I was concerned about insurance and other things being in place. My sister threatened my father that if he didn't end this, that she was going to sue him. She contacted Roherty law firm, and they found a way to try to engage Dad so that he would think twice. They didn't have the legal ability to do it, and they did not represent Barstow Limited Partnership. And I told my father many, many, many times that they never did. But my father has routinely thought that I brought my brother Richard into it, that I brought my brother Richard, who's the head of Barstow Limited Partnership and owns the property, into a lawsuit. This had never happened. Richard did not even know about it. And I've corrected my father many times, but my father still holds that against me as the money loss that he repeats over and over. But I will show evidence that that loss was not there. It's all accounted for. This was just a ploy to denigrate my management of the park, to make it look like a losing cause that had to be rescued for the family's sake. When I came back from Pakistan, Fahim and I were both fully employed at the park. That was our only income. We had free managers' quarters, and utilities were also provided. So during this time, the money that we made was allocated elsewhere. We had some obligated to help Fahim's family in Pakistan. We had some that the money was allocated. So when we were fired, it was sudden. And when my father fired me, he said, be out by midnight, be out by midnight. Fahim was still out of town, out of the country when my father did it. There was no way. We would have to be reemployed somewhere, in some way. We went into debt with credit cards at that point. We did not have credit card debt before that. We went into extreme debt with credit cards and with other obligations we had to pull out of. Fahim had to sell some property at a loss that we'd invested in because it was a timely matter. We'd invested for growth and it was an emergency time. And so we lost those funds. We went south very fast. I asked my dad to let us resettle. Please let us get other income under our belt. This was why when Fahim was looking for, and Fahim was working 2 jobs at once for a stretch of that time, but our debts were large. In February, Fahim came across a building and a business in Henderson, a small town nearby, and we were happy to move there. It was a small town. I went up to Henderson, liked the town. Fahim found a business there, tried to buy it, knowing the assets that we had, but we were short of funds. We were tight on funds, let's put that. We were very tight on funds. He met with Stephen a number of times and let my father know as well that we were trying to move out. They accepted that we could have some time to move. We were not formally evicted. They wanted us gone, but we were not formally evicted at that point. We were trying to work it out so we could leave, which is the graceful way to leave. You'll see some text if we're able to present it. Oh, it's in the pleading. We will be able to present it. It was in our pleading. There was some text back and forth with, they knew the note that they knew that the trailer, it's a 57-foot storage trailer. They knew that it belonged to us because Norm had come out and talked to Stephen about it. He will testify. We have the title. We have all the evidence. We have a chain of bill of sale and the chain that leads to us. I believe that Norm brought that out and showed that to Stephen in person. Stephen agreed that he would allow us to leave. And on April the 7th, Stephen texted Fahim and asked, hey, Fahim, how's it going in Henderson? And said, hey, when do you think you can get your trailer out of here? So Stephen knew that the trailer belonged to us and that we were trying to move it. The owner of the store that Fahim was buying had a large parking lot area, and he okayed our trailer being there. We were working that out. I had called my brother-in-law, John, about auction houses so we could auction the contents because we needed the assets within the trailer to help us complete the move. We didn't have flexible money. So I had those things lined up. But when you start a business, you have to have meetings with banks. You have to have approvals. Our BK Traders was the name of our business. That mail came to Windy Point Park. We needed our mail, but they stopped our mail on March 23rd. We had no access to any mail. So there were negotiations dealing with the business because that was our mailing address. There were many negotiations. I don't know what we lost, to tell the truth. I did not learn about informed delivery until a few months later. So there was a window there where I don't know what mail was arrived or kept. To address the mailbox, I want, that's vital. We have always used that mailbox. Many businesses and people, family members have used it for 50 years. It is rated R, residential. Richard used to collect mail. All my driver's licenses have been there. All of my social security and other things have gone to that residential address. Richard would set them aside and give them to me. Similarly, when other people's mail would arrive while I was taking in the mail, I would get it to them. It was just a habit that the manager was responsible for. I kept up the same policy that Richard did. If it was mail that people couldn't be accessed, he would send it back to the post office. That's just the protocol. But if we knew who it was, and it was usually a family member, we would just get it to the family member. And this had been going on for 50 years, 50 years now. I did not see anything odd in that, and I certainly intended to keep that up. There was a situation where I had found some of my mail in Jay's car, and he was known to sometimes take mail. I did express concern that Jay have access to the mailbox. The entire reason the mailbox was ever locked up was because Jay had been taking mail out. This was not a new thing. Had been taking other people's mail. And so I first put up a mailbox lock, the first one, so that the park could receive mail and I would be the one to distribute it. When my father kept telling me that he was not, when my father's mail was coming in after Stephen took over, I asked my father if he wanted me to take it straight to him. And he said, no, give it to Stephen. And so I did that routinely. Fahim and I both did. About every other day, we would give him more mail. We had a certain spot in the office trailer that we kept it. But he wasn't collecting it. And I asked my father, and he said, no, give it to Stephen. My father wanted me to give Stephen the key. And I said, Dad, Jay takes it. If Stephen gets it, fine, but don't give it to Jay. And my father said, that's up to Stephen. So I continued collecting the mail, and then they replaced the mailbox with a key and did not provide one, and never gave me the mail after that when they replaced it. They say that I did not provide the mail, and Dad says I didn't provide the mail, but the source of that information was Stephen. That was part of the smear campaign. That was part of the denigration that had been going on to badmouth me in my father's eyes. Fahim will testify that he did get the mail. There was a time when there was a certified mail that had come in from my father before the mailbox was changed. When I still had access to the mail, there was a certified mail that came in for Dad, and I thought it was important, but I didn't know the contents. My father was dealing with attorneys at the time. So I called my father and I asked him, hey, Dad, can I bring you your mail? This one might be really important. And my father had already been complaining that he wasn't getting it. So my father said, sure, Janny, go pick it up. And so I did. I signed for my dad, and I went to the post office and got that mail to take to Dad. And so outside of that, I didn't have the mail in my hands to take much more. I think I took a little bit of mail to Dad. That's all I had, my 2 days worth, and his certified mail. But it was that occasion when my father was saying that he hadn't been. My father accused me of not providing it, of withholding it. That's why I knew that there was a mailbox game or situation going on. I did some research and found that the 14421B designation was still active. That was the way that my mother and I used mail when my brother had that mailbox. It was collected in one mailbox. For a while, we had one beside it called B, as though it's an apartment, and it's a verified address. So I tried to have another one set up so that my mail could be delivered elsewhere, but my father and Richard did not approve it. I found that the mail address where Windy Point Park is located. If you look on Google and look up Windy Point Park, the address that you receive is 5506 Bobwins Park Road. For many years, we had tried to put a mailbox there, but it did not have a turnaround route, so the post office would not allow it. When we improved the park, there is now a turnaround point, and I showed the postal service person that there is a turnaround now. Will they activate that mailbox for the park? She said they would. And so that's still a legitimate mailbox for the park itself, and it matches when you do a search for Windy Point Park. It's the same address because we have had many missed deliveries when delivery drivers have searched Windy Point Park. And it's like a V. Here's the entrance to the park. You have to make a beeline down another road, which is 6506, which shows up on a Google search. But the mailbox and with the mail delivery has to follow 14421, which is an entirely different road and goes sideways. There's not an entrance to the park there, not to the public. So we've missed many deliveries. So it would have been practical, or at least I tried to convince my father, the practicality of making the Windy Point Park mailbox be the same as delivery drivers and everyone else, so that we wouldn't have missed deliveries. We would have food delivered, for example. Having one that does not have an entrance and another that does was very confusing. At any rate, they did not resolve it. They just withheld the mail. When I complained to the post office, they said it was a family dispute and it should not have gone on as long and would not have had Fahim and I been able to leave. We were trying to leave. We thought because of his business, we would be able to leave by May. But this was before the trailer was stolen and we got such a huge setback. I could live with a little stretch without mail, but I had no idea it was going on as long as it did. Nonetheless, it has got very complicated and I was not able to create a solution with the family. My father was just belligerent. Fahim was also out of town at that time and we had one car. And so I didn't have the flexibility to do much traveling or go other locations. P.O. box, we were short of gas, I'm sorry. But also I didn't have a car until July when he made it back. He tried to limp through the store until he had to shut the doors. We were not able to move up there, obviously. And time passed. It should not have lingered this long, Your Honor. I offered to pay utilities to my father and to Stephen. They both refused because they felt that if I paid anything, then it would make it appear that I belonged there. And they wanted to make it clear that I didn't. But I did offer to pay the electric. I did not have hot water in the trailer. Stephen did not transfer the propane to utilities to the park. So we remained without any hot water or any drinkable water. The trailer has lake water. So I had lake water and no heat. Our stove was propane. So I had a heating element that I would have to heat water on the counter. At different points, the AC connector under the trailer was cut. At other times, my father and Jay tried to break in with hammers on the doors. I'm sorry, that scared the daylights out of me. I did not know it was them. I did not expect it. They didn't know. That scared the daylights out of me. There is a charge on that. That frightened me. They were very harsh. This was before a formal eviction. This was just their way of trying to let me be known that I wasn't wanted there. Basically I holed up in the trailer. I did not go out front and enjoy the park or the sunsets or the grounds because of all of the emails that I got from my father that accusing me of harassing people he had received this information from Stephen, because I asked. He was receiving false information from Stephen, so I didn't even want to be on the grounds to be seen. I didn't want any camera to pick me up anywhere. I didn't want to allow any option where I could be accused of anything wrong. I was holed up in the trailer until we could leave. Well, no, when Stephen shut the park, I let about 3 weeks pass after they had cleared out, because I didn't know who was coming back and forth, or who was out there, or what cameras were still operating, or who would say what. And I didn't want to be accused of moving anything that they had left behind, or of touching anything, because those accusations were harsh. It was a very strong and unrelenting smear campaign. Your Honor, I can hold my head up that we tried to move out, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. But so far as trying to benefit or rent, having a rent-worthy place to stay, it was not rent-worthy. It's going to be hauled away. It has black mold in it. I have family members that won't enter it. That is an old trailer. The office trailer was right next to it, and it was fully furnished with Fahim and my belongings, because a former employee had used it, and we let him use our belongings in that trailer while we were managing, and he stayed in that trailer when he continued management under Stephen, and Stephen allowed him to stay in that also. That was the official office trailer. That's the one that I paid Jay $10,000 for, because it used to belong to Jay on that spring where I was accused of missing money. A part of it went to pay that off. It was fully wired for the office. It had, it was set up entirely for grounds surveillance.
So this is the trailer you were in, or this is the,
the other trailer, the small,
okay.
There's 3 trailers. I'm sorry. Everything there's a trailer because it has to be removed. It's in the floodplain. That's why
understood. But what does this other trailer have to do with anything?
Okay. The manager's quarters, where Fahim and I were, that's the one that needs to be hauled away, that didn't have the heat or usable water, or it was broken in half through the ceiling because of previous time when they pulled it away. It had been pulled apart. It was not in good condition, and it was going to be replaced at some point anyway. I just was in it when all this transpired with the changeover on the lease. There was another trailer angled to it, like a catty corner. This is the office manager's quarters, the larger one, where Fahim and I were. The office trailer that used to belong to Jay, and we converted it into all the wiring. Richard had used it as an office. My father had used it as an office. We had off and on, we had it wired for that intention. And that's the one that had always historically, that's been the office trailer. But an employee was in it for a while, and then we used it as a break room for a while for our employees. We kept computers in there and a screen for surveilling the park on the wall. My father.
But neither of those trailers were the trailer that you were residing in.
I was in the manager's quarters. There's 3 manager's quarters, junkyard, motor pool, a storage trashy trailer. I call it the green trailer. I've always wanted to haul away. Always. It's full of lots of junk, some good things, but I wanted the good things cleared out. It's not reusable. And then behind that was my brother's RV, a bunch of boats, and the white storage trailer that was tucked in under trees. So there were actually quite a few things that were back there. We had always wanted to move items out. I cleaned up the motor pool and put up some garage port type things for cars so we could use it as a yard for all the vehicles. But after that was the junk trailer, the green trailer that is very trashed. And then the series of boats and RVs. I was able to move most of the boats. One belonged to Jay, and he was upset. So there were many things that came between Jay and me. Many of the belongings in the yard were Jay's, and Jay accused me of throwing away hundreds of dollars worth. But he'd had 2 or 3 weeks of notices to please move it. And my father was outside when Jay sorted. We put things on the ground, like on tarps, like you do on a garage sale. So I laid things out in the junkyard on tarps for Jay and Richard both to take their belongings, because my goal was to clean the ground so we could use the back area. Eventually, I wanted to put cabins back there and other living quarters. But this was the process of cleanup at the tail end of my project. So,
Your Honor, can I object as to the basis of relevance again? There's only 2 trailers that are in dispute in this lawsuit, the manager's trailer and what we call Norm's trailer. And any other property that is supposedly out there, there's no claims from anybody else alleging that property was stolen. I feel like this is completely irrelevant.
Right, and I will sustain relevance at this point. I think we need to move on, Ms. Barstow, to the next issue. Thank you.
right. Well, the only relevance is that my belongings are still there. I tried to remove when the employee moved out. He texted Fahim. Fahim raced back from Henderson to get the key from the employee so we can take our furnishings out of there. Stephen, the employee, sent us a text just before Fahim got there. Sent us a text that Stephen had already taken the key out of his hand as he was moving out, and he apologized to Fahim that we could not remove our belongings. So we still have belongings in that trailer even now. And we did send a letter to Pena. So that's where the photos were, Ms. Pena. We're in that small office trailer. Those are the furnishings we let the employee use. But Stephen took the key out of the employee's hand before he could hand it to Fahim that morning when he was moving out. So we were never able to get them. And I sent a number of emails back and forth with Dad and Stephen to try to let us get the belongings out. But that was a second tranche of stealing. It is because of that when my father offered that I could move in with him, which is a gracious offer. But part of that agreement was to leave things in Stephen's hands. But he'd already stolen from us twice at that point. And I did not feel comfortable leaving all my belongings exposed to Stephen, since he'd already twice gone out of his way to undermine us and was passing on such dishonesty to my father about these things. There was no total distrust. And I complained to my father. I wrote to my father a number of times that Dad, find another solution. Will you pay for a storage unit? I'll do it there. Will you do, I tried to find other ways, but I will not leave it in Stephen's hands after 2 episodes of theft. And that's why we were there. Again, I did not think it would last this long.
All right, thank you. I think that is where we are, Ms. Pena. If you're ready, well, we'll take a 10-minute break, Ms. Pena, and then you can come back and ask your questions. Thank you. Everybody, we're on a 10-minute break. Don't disconnect, just stay on. Go off screen if you wish to, but stay on. Thank you. So let's wait for everybody to get back. There's Ms. Barstow. Ms. Racanelli is there. I just saw her. Okay, then great. We'll go back on the record, and Ms. Barstow has finished her testimony on the direct. And we'll go back to you, Ms. Barstow. But now, Ms. Pena, you will go.
Good morning, Ms. Barstow. I'm going to have a series of questions for you today. And because the judge has put us on a clock, all of my questions can be answered yes or no, and I would prefer that you answer my questions with a yes or a no. Do you understand? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's the other thing. Since we have a court reporter here, she needs to be able to hear what you say. So nodding the head is not sufficient. And if I ask you to confirm your answer, I'm not picking on you. I just want to make sure that Ms. Racanelli has a clear record. Do you understand? Okay.
Is this loud enough? I'm trying to turn it up. I don't know which control.
Yes, actually, Miss Pena, I really think the issue is a sound issue on your end. If you could move to the place where the clients are, I think we maybe could work a little bit better because that sound is takes over and we can't, it doesn't allow Miss Barstow to be heard.
If we turn down our volume, I think that'll help a lot.
How's this?
That works. That works much better because now we can at least see you. And then you might just have to unnaturally delay because whatever sound system y'all have is basically it's like a it's taking over the sound of the whole Zoom. And so just ask your question and then you might unnaturally delay and then Miss Barstow will respond. Go ahead.
Miss Barstow, it's true that from all times between November of 2023 to October of 2024, you and Mr. Raza lived in the manager's trailer at Windy Point Park, correct?
Yes,
And during that entire time frame, you knew that Bob Barstow, your father, did not want you residing in the trailer.
yes,
While you were residing in the trailer, it's also true that neither you nor Mr. Raza paid any type of rent to anyone.
correct. Yes,
And you mentioned earlier that you offered to pay for utilities, which I think Mr. Schur will address later. But to confirm, it's also true that you never paid any type of utilities while you lived at the park, correct?
no,
That's not correct?
it's not correct.
What utilities did you pay for?
I had the utilities put in my name as soon as I could. When Mr. Did you want me to explain that one?
I'm going to object as non-responsive. My question was, and I'm sorry, I'll wait for a ruling.
Sustained on non-responsive. I'm muting because it's just too many sounds, so I'm going to keep myself muted, but keep going.
Ms. Barstow, my question was, which utilities do you believe you paid for that were related to the manager's trailer at Windy Point Park?
Electric and phone and wireless, internet.
You agree with me, though, that you never provided any electric bills or any type of utility bills to your lawyer to provide as an exhibit in this lawsuit, correct?
Did you want to? No, I did not.
Isn't it true when it comes to the mail that you were told your mail was available for pickup at the post office?
Yes,
On the day that the Norm's trailer was removed, isn't it also true that you were not personally present at the time that the trailer was removed?
correct.
So you don't have any personal knowledge related to who hooked up and actually took the trailer away?
That's did you stop beating your wife? A yes or no is awkward. May I answer what happened?
I'll rephrase.
Okay.
You didn't see anyone take the trailer away, correct?
C, no.
And you didn't hear with your ears while you were at the park anyone moving the trailer out of the park?
I heard before then. I was in the park next to it. I was on the other side of the fence. I heard the communication.
Ms. Barstow, you agree with me that your father, Bob Barstow, and his entity, Windy Point Park, Inc., own the park, correct?
No,
But your father was your employer, correct?
they own Windy Point Park Inc. I'm sorry, not the land. Barstow Limited Partnership owns the land. My father owns Windy Point Park Inc. You are correct there.
And your brother, Richard Barstow, is the president of Barstow Limited Partnership, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And when you were managing the park, your father was your employer, correct?
Correct.
And you've never sued your father for wrongful termination, correct?
Correct.
You mentioned getting mail at the park for over 50 years. Isn't it true that when Mr. Schur took over or leased the park, that he was the first non-family member to ever manage the park?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Hey, Miss Barstow, now is the chance for you to redirect yourself. And again, it's just in the narrative, and it'll be limited to the types of questions that Ms. Pena just asked you. If you want to respond in the narrative form to any of those issues, now is the time.
As another explanation, because it was confusing, I believe, from Ms. Pena. It's awkward yes, no answer. My sister, because Fahim was on hand, my sister would sometimes pick me up to take me grocery shopping or to go out because I didn't have a car. When we were leaving, Kristen was driving in with my father that day. Let me back up before the trailer was taken because I was on alert. This is why we did this. That morning when I went out to the mailbox, because I would, okay, now I'm busted. This was before I learned about informed mail, informed delivery. I would take my phone inside the mailbox, like in you can't stick an arm or anything in, but I would stick my phone in and take a picture of what mail might be there because we needed that business mail. This was before we knew that everything had to shut down. It was before the trailer was gone. But it was locked and we couldn't access it. So I would take a picture inside to see if there were any banks or checks or just what mail there was. It only showed the top layer, but it was my morning walk and I would take the dog with me. It was a routine part of my morning, was to go out onto Ridgetop Terrace before other people would get up and take the dog around the block and then come back into the trailer, down, from the driveway back road. On the trailer, that's along where the stolen trailer was. It was along that walk. Fahim and I had put up signs that said, do not remove under penalty of theft. Call, and it put my phone number, call 512-945-4982. We had several signs up. We also had an overlock because we knew that Stephen was talking about moving it. And this is why Norm came out and talked with him and showed him the evidence of his ownership. This is why we were concerned. We were things were kind of heating up with my father and Stephen. But when I walked out to the mailbox, the signs were gone. And this is the first time the signs were gone when I walked past it. I called Fahim and I told him, Fahim, I think we need to get insurance on it. I was hoping it didn't cost very much. We were in dire straits, but it put me on edge because the signs were taken off and they were securely taped. It was not they were taped on solid. I knew that if anybody tried to haul it, if anybody legitimate tried to remove it, if they saw those signs, they would call that number. They would not remove somebody else's trailer or something somebody claimed, nor would they cut the overlock that was on it. We had a new overlock over the hitch attachment, so it could not be hauled. It could not be moved. And an agreement that Stephen would contact Norman or us if he's going to take that step. We already had that agreement with Stephen. That's why Stephen was asking Fahim, when is this going to be? On that morning, those signs were off. And I called Fahim and I told him, Fahim, something's fishy. We better think of insurance on our assets. That afternoon, my sister came to pick me up and take me out, and Kristen and my father were driving in the main entrance of the park where the public comes. because the trailer is on the back side where the public never goes. It's on the mailbox back route. The main entrance, Chris was driving my father in. And so I said, Dana, something's going on. And so we turned to the right and went to the other side of the fence. And we didn't leave. I called my father to see what was going on. My father, again, upon dismissing the call, my father again did not hang up. And he left I don't know if his phone was in his walker or on the table or where it was, but my sister was recording at that time. She recorded my conversation with my dad. It was pretty short. I just welcomed him to the park. And he was still talking. So I overheard my father being introduced to somebody. And I overheard them saying, "Did you check the numbers?" And so I put that together, that this might have been the trailer. I called Fahim again, almost in a panic after I stayed on the phone for a while. But they moved away from wherever his phone was. It wasn't on his person because the voices got more silent. I believe I called Norm. I called Fahim. I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel comfortable going in and confronting anybody. I wasn't sure what was happening. I wasn't sure if they were just making arrangements. I thought for sure if it was happening, we might see it going down the road, but we were actually further down. So we didn't see the vehicle. But when Dana took me back to the park, it was gone. And so that is what it was. I believe that's when it was. Because that was the day that the signs were removed. And my father they were talking numbers with somebody that had come out to the park. At that point, it's like an assumption. I tend to not want to believe anything that I don't see and hear with my own eyes. I don't like to take people's word for it, but my suspicions were already on alert when the signs were taken off. And it was gone when my sister took me back home.
All right, thank you. Is there anything else that you want to add? We could go back to Ms. Pena if she has any other questions, but do you have anything else, Ms. Barstow, with your testimony?
I guess not at this point.
And what about you, Ms. Pena? Any follow-up? Nothing from her. She's shaking her head no. So next would be if Mr. Raza also wants to testify. And his sound is not quite as good. And so I'm going to maybe ask his camera angle to change because we also can't see his mouth. And it'll be helpful to see his mouth when he's testifying. There he goes. That's better. And so then I'm going to ask him to unmute, and I need to swear him in as well. Mr. Raza, please raise your right hand and be sworn in. In the testimony you're about to give, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yeah, that's not going to work. I don't know. You might, if y'all are in the same room, you might need to move to a totally different room. That's the best way to do it.
No.
That is better. Now, can you work on the angle of the camera so we can see your face?
Okay. I have to raise a little volume. Okay. Is that fine now?
As long as you sit way up, like adjust. Yes, there you go. Now we can see you. Did I swear you in or not? I did. And you said yes.
Yes.
Okay, now go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Your Honor. Lot of things going on. I'm the only person from Pakistan who's in a family. There's a lot of things going on. I don't have to address other things other than the things which was wrongfully taken from us. I really want to highlight that trailer was taken wrongfully. The mail was holded illegally. And I can prove that it was done illegally. My stand will be that. Rest, family things, park, business, I think they have a problem since long going on. That's a short and brief, but I can provide the exhibits which really proves they have removed legally, whether it is done by Bob Barstow, even his father-in-law. If he have done something wrong, then Steven Shearer needs to ask him, because he haven't moved by himself. Steven Shearer was the resource who moved it. But if he moved it, did he adopt the legal procedure? Did he contact it? Did they ask us for a paper? Or he's denying it, it don't belongs to us, then why he was texting and emailing us, then when you are able to move that? So these are the simple questions. So, and I can prove with the document. And mail holded by J. Barstow, I can prove it. Initially, 15 days he holded our mail. And then he gone to the post office and asked them. That's it, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Pena, any questions for this witness? She does have questions. And then Ms. Barstow, you've got to stay muted because that's causing the problem. There you go. When it's your turn to talk, we'll unmute you. But you not being muted, I think, is causing a lot of the echo. All right. Ms. Pena, questions for Mr. Raza?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Raza, the same thing that I asked for Jan Barstow, I'd like to agree with you that I'm going to ask you a yes or no question, and to the extent you can answer it, please do so, because we're on a clock and I want to try to get through this as quickly as possible. Do you understand? I'm sorry, I think you're muted.
Muted.
Yes.
Okay. It's true, isn't it, that you and Jan Barstow lived in the manager's trailer at Windy Point Park at all times from November 1 of 2023 until October 1 of 2024, correct?
True, correct.
And during that time, it's also true that neither you nor Miss Jan Barstow paid rent to anyone for living at that trailer, correct?
True.
On the day that the trailer, the storage trailer or Norm's trailer was taken from the park, isn't it also true that you were not present at the park that day?
No, I was not. No.
Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
And any other testimony from you, Mr. Raza? None. He's
I'm good,
shaking
Your
his
Honor.
head no. Okay, so Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza, now is the opportunity for you to call another witness if there are other witnesses. I'm sure Ms. Pena has witnesses. She both has a defensive case as well as a claim that they're bringing as well. So I'm sure they're going to call witnesses, and some of them may be people that you want to question. My question now is, have you subpoenaed anyone to be here? Is there any questions that you want to ask of the defendants that are already present? Do you want to ask them questions, or do you want to wait for Ms. Pena to call witnesses and ask questions and then ask additional questions?
Okay. I'm sorry, my volume was down in the beginning of that. Were you asking if I wanted to ask questions of you or me?
No, y'all are done. The two of you, at least for now. I mean, I think there may be evidence that you want to put in later. I'm going to leave your record open while you try to figure out your evidence. I mean, we've been working with you, but I'm going to give you a little bit more time over the lunch hour to try to figure it out. And then obviously whatever you load up isn't necessarily admitted right away. Ms. Pena gets a chance to object to it, but I'm still going to give you a chance to load up whatever it is that you're stating you wish to be admitted as part of your evidence in this matter. You'll do that over the lunch break. Ms. Pena will look at it, assuming you can do it correctly. Ms. Pena will give whatever objections she has, whether that's surprise based on the fact that she hasn't seen him before, or some sort of other evidentiary basis, I will rule on those and I will either admit exhibits or not. But short of that, are there any witnesses that you
Yes,
are planning on calling right now?
yes.
Call your next witness.
Is he supposed to come in by Zoom?
Well, if you called somebody, it's on you to try to get them here. And so if you need to take a minute and to try and Zoom someone, to text someone and say they should come in, I don't know. I really don't know who we're talking about. I know there was at one point a witness list. And so Ms. Pena is going to also have a chance to say yes or no to witnesses. We might have a discussion. Who would you call next?
Norman. Norman, who gave us the trailer.
Okay. This is Norman. What is Norman's last name?
Bruckle.
How do you spell that?
Bruekle. And
do you have any, and then is that a witness that you are aware of, Ms. Pena? You have no objections to that witness being called, correct?
I have no objections. He was included on their witness list, served back in February.
All right. Well, then, Ms. Barstow, you now need to take a few minutes and you need to try to get him here. You need to send him the same Zoom link that we've sent you, and that would be how he joins us.
Okay.
All right. I'll take a brief break and we'll see if he shows up in the next 5 minutes or so. Thank you.
I will. Ian, would you call him? Or send him a link? You send him the link. I struggled with it. You send him the link and I'll call him.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So, Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza represent themselves and they will ask you questions, but Ms. Pena is the attorney who represents Mr. Shearer and two daredevils. John Barstow represents himself, and if he wants to ask questions, he may ask you some questions as well. He so far hasn't interrupted and said he wants to ask questions, but this is a reminder, if he wants to ask questions, he is also able to. At any rate, first will be Ms. Barstow, who will ask you some questions, or Mr. Raza, if they wish to ask you questions. One of them will do so at this time. You may proceed. Oh, you need to unmute yourself. Sorry.
I thought I was unmuted.
You are. Miss Barstow wasn't.
Me.
Now she's unmuted. There you go.
Norman, how
Yes.
long have you known the family?
Since the 80s.
Okay. You know Richard, Jay, Dad, me, all of us?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've had a trailer. I guess we put it with a. I think everybody knows you as well. That's beside the point. So you had a trailer that you had out there, a very large storage trailer. Could you tell me the circumstances that it came out there?
Sure. When I sold my property, I took a week or two to load it up with storage crates and containers and basically the possessions in the house and some business materials, being the watches and stuff like that. I loaded it up and Richard gave me permission to park it there. He was charging me a monthly fee for a period of time. And when Jan took over the park, or running the park as I understood it, I gave her possession of the trailer to take care of and help her out. Like I said, I've known Jan for a number of years. I thought it was a good idea. Richard wanted me to get rid of the trailer. I wanted to give it to Jan, and that's what I did. And we agreed to split up the contents. We made up a list of what was in there, what I wanted to hang on to, what she could sell and make money from to help finance herself. And that was all done. Looking at the paperwork, I originally put the trailer there on October 26, 2013. And it's, like I said, it's got all my stereo equipment, some of it high-end recorders and equipment in there. And that was all in there along with the rest of my possessions. There's a detailed 6-page list that I created as I loaded the trailer.
All right. So in your when some of this was beginning to transpire, was there concern about possession of the trailer? How,
Yeah. Well, I was notified, the person who was operating the park at that time, under contract or whatever, told me that it needed to be moved, and he was reminded that it was owned by you, and you posted that it was owned by you on the trailer. Everybody knew that. And when you guys left for a few hours, a vehicle came, obviously of a decent size, towed it away. After drilling out the lock that was attached to the kingpin. So the fact it was being stolen was pretty obvious, to anybody who wanted to know it. I'm just stating facts. I'm not going to get into supposition or anything like that. But, you know, it was drilled out. We have pictures of it, and you contacted the sheriff within a couple hours of being gone when you came back and realized it was missing.
all right. Did you talk to the sheriff also?
Yes, I did. It's all on video. You know that.
But the court doesn't.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
Okay.
You- you-
Did I call you when I saw it stolen?
Yes.
Okay.
And I
Uh,
came out and I talked, the sheriff was still there on property when I got there.
all right. And so
And
you,
at that time, we pointed out the drilled out locks and the way they busted into it and, took it off.
that's right. I forgot about that part. What did you see on the ground underneath the trailer? When we walked the grounds to
The
after,
trailer, right, the kingpin had a hitch that I bought on it that had a secure lock. So they, obviously used drill bits to drill out the core of the lock and remove it so they could take it. And also the signs you had put there, which I'd seen previously, indicating that you own the property, were also removed. Well, the trailer was gone, so we're assuming they removed it.
yeah. Okay, yeah, because nobody would. You told me some of the protocol when people do move things. They wouldn't, a legitimate person wouldn't have touched it. I learned a lot of lessons about that. What is the normal procedure when something is taken?
Well, if you wanted to follow the laws, I understand it, it's been explained to me previously, is that when a product or a parcel or a vehicle is considered abandoned on a private property, they then have the right to, notify, tow it away, and you have to have access to it to recover it. None of that was done. It may have pleased the court, FYI, Jan, her father, and myself, at least, were never told where it went to, what happened to it, or any of that nature. In fact, days later, we did go, Jan, myself, and Dana went to talk to Mr. Barstow, and he told us many things about what was going on. That again is on video that Dana had. And we broke that up a little bit, and I had a separate conversation with Bob, and we just discussed what was going on. And then Jan came back in and we finished that up. Again, that's all on video and or audio. Anyhow, that's as it transpired.
You know Dana very well, don't you?
I've known her for years, not as much as I know you or Richard, but
Okay. Does Dana always have her video on?
yeah, she enjoys recording, as I understand it, and I've seen. So yeah, she's recording quite a bit.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with Stephen about the trailer before it was
Yes.
taken?
Yeah, he had
Before.
contacted me and was trying to find a place to move it to, but since I didn't own it at that point, it wasn't my position to do that. I had already given it to you, God, a year or two in advance of that. Exactly, I don't have handy, but I talked to you about it. And we've had emails back and forth on it. So anyhow, yeah, he said that it would be taken away, and his words were, it would be taken away, the contents would be sold, and the trailer was going to go to a truck driving training school to be used for training purposes. So that's what he had told me. But I was never told when it was actually going to be taken. Otherwise, we would have called the sheriffs or followed legal procedures.
Did you expect more contact after his threatening to take it? I think
I thought
Ask
that,
you something I already know the answer to, because we were talking together. I was out there.
I'm sorry, I thought everything was resolved, that you owned it and that I was out of the loop on it. And that he should have contacted you this because it was your property for the trailer. The contents were still partially mine, but the trailer I had given to you.
Right.
In fact, we originally
Did,
discussed moving on property to another location to set it up next to the building that you were staying at the front of the property. Yeah, but then you got busy with other activities and we just held off on that.
That's true. All right. I guess I can. Do you have the title in your possession?
Yes, I've always had the title that when I purchased it from it was owned by by Mr. Sneed's corporation, and I bought it from Sergio, who had gotten the title from him. And when things started to get interesting with the title, I went and met with Mr. Sneed at his home. He gave me papers stating that I had the authority to negotiate for him and take care of everything and signed all those. I subsequently went into one of my safes and found the original title, which I then took to the state agency and transferred the title into my name. And I currently have the title in my name also.
Did you have to pay some penalties or fees for that?
Right. Well, it was originally stored on private property, so there was no need to do a title in case anybody's curious. Only when we were looking at the need to move it did I do the title transfer to myself so that we could move it legally, and I had all the paperwork to back that up. I did not continue transferring it to due to the fact that the state only does hard copy delivery by U.S. Postal Service. And as I understood it, your mail was not exactly 100% delivered to you at that location. And that would have been the only way to have accomplished it. So I had it transferred into my name.
All right. Anything more I should ask? I want to. Did Stephen ever leave any messages on your answer machine?
Yes. But never that was actually going, just that he wanted it gone. And I kept, indicated that it was yours and that you had to deal with that. And that was your property.
All right. And how many times did you come out and meet in person with Stephen?
Well, I met with you, but he was there probably 2 or 3 times.
Before? Was this before or after the?
Oh, before, I don't remember. I may have met him once before. Afterwards, more contacts.
Okay. All right. And that was in person for your conversations with Stephen about
The on-site ones, yes.
Pardon?
The ones on site were in person, yes.
All right.
I never met him off-site.
All right. I'll pass the witness. Is that the phrase to use to hand off?
Yes, that is correct. Thank you. And then Ms. Pena, we are to you. You need, yep, there you go.
Mr. Breckel, could you pronounce your last name just so I make sure I say it correctly? I'm sorry?
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mute you every time because it looks like you have a button over there, Ms. Pena. And I think to make this work any other way would be tough. Remember, your audio is so super that it supersedes everybody else's audio. So ask a question. I'm going to mute you, and then we're going to see if we can hear Mr. Bruckel's answer. Go ahead.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Sure, Norman Bruckel.
And then you're going to unmute yourself every time. I know it's difficult, Ms. Pena, but I just would like to get done with this witness before lunch. And I think if we do this, we can get that done because I don't think you have a ton of questions for him. So let's do it that way. And then maybe you can figure out how to almost not be as techie after the break. It's almost like Zoom's better if you don't have all of these great processes. You might just want to go backwards rather than forwards. So, right, go ahead.
Okay, Your Honor, just so you know, I think I got the mute and unmute thing taken care of. So I'll make
Okay.
sure I mute myself after every question.
Great. Go ahead. Next question.
Isn't it true that you were not physically present at the park on the day that the trailer was removed?
I came to the park on the day the trailer was removed after the fact and met with the sheriff and Jan after it had been taken. And they have video of me being there, and the sheriff recorded me as being there.
But you agree with me that at the time the trailer was taken, not later, but at the time it was taken, you were not present at the park, correct?
No,
I'm sorry, no, that wasn't correct, or no, you weren't there?
not there when it was taken. I would have, I was probably just as well I wasn't, but go ahead.
I believe you testified earlier that you gave Jan the trailer in 2013. Is that what you testified to?
No, 2013 is when I dropped the trailer off. Jan wasn't given possession of the trailer until after I paid for several years to Richard for storing it there. And when Jan took over managing the park, probably around 2022, 2023, I don't know the exact date, is when we started. I gave it to her and we started doing that. But it wasn't until probably 2022 that I turned the trailer over to her.
Okay, but when you first took the trailer to the park, you were paying rent to store it there, correct?
I have the checks that I gave to Richard, and they were all made out to the Windy Park, not to Richard directly, but to the business.
And at the time you say you gave the trailer to Jan, Jan was managing Windy Point Park, correct?
I was told, yes.
And you didn't pay any more rent for the trailer after that period, correct?
Because I had given the trailer to Jan.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Barstow, any other questions for this witness?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Did we have a signed agreement with you and Fahim and me?
We created one, Fahim created, and I met with him and signed it. I don't have a copy of it handy, but you should have a copy of it because we signed multiple copies, multiple originals. I'm used to legal proceedings from previous business, so we did 2 wet copies, one for you and.
All right. Those
Wet copies are the only things I accept.
I didn't hear that part.
I said wet copies are the only thing that I consider legal. Data is cute, but wet copies make it official.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. Anything else from you, Ms. Pena? No, I hear nothing. All right. Mr. Bruckle, you are excused as a witness. You're released from any subpoena if you are under one, and you are free to go. I'm going to remove you from the Zoom.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
All right. So at this point, it's 11:30 and I have a meeting over the lunch hour. What I would like everyone to do is work on, Ms. Pena is going to work on a setup that maybe isn't so difficult with the sound. Let's see if she can figure that out. I mean, this is working okay, Ms. Pena. It's fine. And so if we proceed with you sitting there, that's actually works for me. So if you want to sit there and now you figured out mute, I think we can figure it out. That actually, I think though the issue is going to come when you call your witness. I think it'll be a little bit odd to call it that way. But when you're talking to other witnesses, not your clients, it works pretty well. But you're going to have to figure out something different for you and your clients. And then Ms. Barstow and Mr. Raza, I'm going to say again, it is not my job to figure out for you how to upload your exhibits. You really need to get that done. We've given you multiple communications, about 3 to 4 times as many communications that we give other self-represented parties. So either you can figure it out or you can't, but we're going to have a record of this case. You need to do what you can to get your exhibits loaded. Once they're loaded, that doesn't mean they're admitted. That means they're loaded for you to be able to offer them. Ms. Pena still reserves the right to object to any exhibits that you load into the system. Ms. Racanelli is going to explain to you if you don't do it correctly, because there is a way that you need to do it. You can't just do them all. For example, they need to be individually uploaded. But she's done that numerous times. And so again, if you have questions, I'm sure she will help you with it and answer them. But at some point, it's going to be on you to figure out how to do it, because the Zoom format is requested by you. And so you're the one who wished to do it this way rather than in person. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to see everybody back at 1:30, which is a little bit longer of a break, but there's work to be done over the lunch hour. And I will see everybody at 1:30 and we will proceed at that time. Thank you. Everybody's excused.
Thank you. Okay. I need to talk with, I've got them uploaded in Box. I don't know what to do from there and they're not labeled.
I think you need to turn off your video.
So you said you've got them uploaded to Box?
I have them in Box, but I don't have, because they're digital, I don't have the labels. I spent this morning trying to create digital labels, and they're all involving software that I don't have.
I don't see that. They're not in the Box folder. Did you put them under your plaintiff's exhibit folder?
Well, you know the link that y'all sent me? I followed that, and I followed something that had my case name, and I went into that. Is it something somebody else? Yes, I uploaded them to Box. You cannot see them.
I don't see them.
I'm looking at them. All files, D1G. I uploaded a folder that had all the files, and I labeled them plaintiff 1, plaintiff 2, plaintiff 3, like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how to proceed, whether I should take off the rest of the name or leave it there for convenience. I do have a written list of everything, so like an index.
Okay, let's try this. Can you email me that folder that you uploaded? Send it to my email. Let me look at it.
Do this. Oh, there, it's at the top. Command C. Okay.
Oh, but you don't have separator pages.
That's what I needed. Right.
That's not going to work.
Last night I'd have created them.
Yeah, that's not going to work. I need to have a separator page with the exhibit number or the exhibit number on the first page of each exhibit. So that won't even help me.
Well, I can pull down. Can I edit? How much can I edit in there? Because what I did last night was I kept a folder that mimics this one on my hard drive, and I did my edits on my hard drive. And when I had my edits, I trashed the box that was inadequate and uploaded a whole new upload that looked like this.
Like I said, I don't even see the exhibits you uploaded. They're not in the folder that I sent you.
Then what link did I follow? Because it was already numbered. I mean, it was already, what link did I follow?
I don't know.
Did another attorney send? I never went to that Boxy Bot thing. Maybe another attorney, the other.
That's what you need to. That's what you need to go to is the Boxy Bot.
Well, I did. I went to Boxy Bot. That's how I found this. You don't see any?
Let me resend the link one more time. You can try it again.
I can upload a new one, and I can add the white pages in front of some key documents.
Right. Tell me your email address again. J. Barstow.
I was combing through the help files. I didn't know what's next step to take.
Okay, I'm sending you another link. See if you get that.
Well, I'm waiting for it to come in. In my previous life, I was a senior level tech writer, familiar with things. But truthfully, when I do get triggered, I'm just a blithering idiot. Let me see. I'd rather get this figured out and do it appropriately. Here we go. Update. Oh, this one looks different. I mean, even the heading on it is different. Oh my gosh. Wait, no. I have, oops, we can't seem to find the page you're looking for. I clicked on your link and it seemed like it had the right title. But why does it
Hey,
say
how many exhibits do you have?
85? I'm not going to use all of those. I made many, many mistakes. I was cutting the wrong ones. I was naming them wrong. It's very difficult for me when I get stressed out to.
So you do you see, so when you get to that box, when you
I
get to
don't-
that link and you hit it, what does it do?
It says, okay, let me go back to it again. The one that it said not able to. Wait a minute. There it is. Here's the new one. Oops, we can't seem to find the page you're looking for. Do you want me to take a screenshot or?
No, I mean, I've seen that before.
Okay.
I don't tell you. How many exhibits do you think you'll be using?
Oh. If people need proofs and evidences, probably about 15. For the immediate related to the trailer, I could go at it in order as in, what the purpose is. I guess it depends on how the hearing is, whether I want to rebut things. I have a lot of evidence to rebut the claims that have been made. But if it doesn't seem to be too challenging, I don't need to put all those in. That would just take people's time. I do need to put in, well, actually, some of my witnesses will be very straightforward. I guess I need evidence to support them. Let's say 10 or 15 essential ones.
See, so when I look at your link that I sent you, it says that it's pending, which means you have not accepted my invitation. Did you create a box? Did you create a box account?
I didn't officially create one. I responded to a link from BoxyBot.
No, you have to create a link. I mean, you have to create an account. It's a free account, but you have to create.
I do have an account.
You created it?
Yes. I even changed the time zone and everything on it. Now, this one has the wrong time zone. This is treating me like a different person. On the first one, I changed the time zone and because I wanted to reflect. This one does have my right email, but it has the Pacific time zone. And I remember changing it, and I changed it to files and folders per page. I put 100. So even on the account page, I had made changes on the other account, and I thought that was the court's.
I just sent you another invitation. See if that comes through.
What do you do if you have two? Here we go. Okay. Yeah, that came through, but let me follow this link. Okay. Collaborated folder. That actually looks like a different kind of a link. Do you see this one now? Wait a minute. That one I just collected is the folders. It is the things I have. I have a folder in there. I see my own folder and I see my JB in purple. And there's my files. Do you see it in that same link?
Not in the link I sent you. What is your link? What is it called? So I can search that.
What's it called? What's the folder?
Yeah, what do you see as far as what it's called?
D-1-GN- well, the case number.
Which is, I'm sorry, I don't have it with me, so you'll have to read it to me.
Okay. Actually, the link, I went back a page to what it looked like when I first connected. This one says action required. Please complete the following actions to access the folders and files that have been shared with you. And it has 0220-2025 D1GN 24002-765.
So you need to do what it's telling you to do. You need to do those actions, whatever it's telling you to do.
Well, actually, I can see my own folder on this page. You don't,
Well,
You
do
don't
the actions that it's telling you to do. That might help.
update, okay? Enter your current password. Ah, shoot. What did I use? I'm gonna look on my phone. I already did. I took a picture of my password here. Oh, it says new password. Okay, but this is my old password. The one I created last night. Let me do this. I'm using the same one. Old password is incorrect. Why? Password. It's saying I have the wrong current password. It keeps saying the old password is incorrect. I ran into that a lot yesterday, but I got past it. Current password, new password, and that's the new password. I'm putting it. I put in the right password. Okay, I'm stuck on this. It won't update your details. Let me look at my details. I have 2 pending invitations here. Oh shoot! Both of them from Travis County. Criminy. One of them is 2/20/2025. One of them is 3/03/2025. That's the one you just now sent today.
Today's the 4th.
So 4th. Oh, that was last night. Okay, the one I believe from last night is the one where I thought I sent my files to it. Update. You've been invited to collaborate on 2 items, but first you need to create a stronger password on your account. Update. Decline all. No, I don't want to decline those invitations. These are from 2/20 and 3/03. Should I decline both of those or update them?
Go ahead and decline because I sent you one today, so you should have the 0304.
Decline invitations. Oh, for collaboration. So if I decline the collaboration, you won't have my files. So what I uploaded is in something old.
I don't know what it's in. I just don't see it in mine.
Oh, I know it might be in something old. Like I said, when I sent you that screenshot, I had a number of invitations because I did not follow anything from BoxyBot. It just sounded like a Nigerian sales scheme. And being from the tech world, I just never connect on anything that might, even clicking on it drops little spiders in your computer. So I would not have connected to it on my own. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time. Accept the invite to the one you sent today at 11:40. Oops, we can't find the page you're looking for. No. And that's the current one you sent.
I thought you said it asked you to sign in.
It did, but that was the one I declined on. Well, this one, search files and folders, no.
Decline that one again. Decline that one and I'll send it to you again and see if.
Okay, just a minute. Filters. App box. This is confusing for me. Keyword clear. Okay, I am gonna try to decline that. Accept invite. Go to files. I don't even know where the decline button is. Did you send a new one?
Now let me send it again.
Hey, let me log out because I'm logged in. So I have something active. That's the one where I put all my files and thought that y'all had them. I put them in last night and the last tranche this morning after I cleaned up the naming. It's not fully cleaned. I still need to put the front page on everything. But should I log out of what it looks like I'm logged in on?
Why don't you log out and then I'll send you this other link and then just don't log in until you skip this link.
All right. I'm sorry this is confusing. I was very confused.
I just sent it.
Okay.
So it says it was successfully invited. Now you've got to go in and.
Okay.
That's it.
Accept the invite. I'm going to do this. That's a 303 link. Travis County. This is different. Okay, this is the first time I've seen this page. That's why I was kind of lost where to take it from the upload. Oh, okay, I'm seeing something.
Are you seeing the folder that has the date 030325 cause number?
And I clicked on it, and I got a
on
page that said part of Travis County, Texas. So I'm going to say,
no, you're not.
Not part of Travis County, Texas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now my email. And my email is the next step. Next. Choose an account. Easy. Hey, wait a minute. Here's my exhibits again. My exhibit. You don't see them?
And that's why I was asking, what is it called? What is your exhibit? What is the name of it?
It's D-1-GN-24-002765 exhibits for box.
I need to search that because it's not, you didn't upload it in the folder. You must have uploaded it somewhere else.
Yeah, I uploaded a folder, the entire folder with all its contents. So it's sitting here as a folder. And when you double click on it, it's all the files.
I don't know where it is. I don't know where you.
Sorry.
Why don't you, can you, well, you can't.
Wait a minute. This is to you. Hold on. I'm going to send this Command V. I'm going to send you this. You might recognize this page and navigate me out of it if it's the wrong place. I'm going to do send. Wait. Like copy myself behind it. Okay. There. That's the folder I uploaded. And it's following that link that you sent.
It gives me an error that that's not a good page.
Wow.
To tell you, I don't know why it's not working. I don't know.
I will follow any protocol, or if y'all have an instruction page, I can just comb over it. I tend to be pretty savvy. I tend to be savvy with
So can you try to the link that I gave you, can you try to upload something to that link?
When I went to that link, my folder was already there.
I understand. What I'm saying is, can you try to upload just one document?
Oh, one
Where it
document.
says, do you see where it says plaintiff's exhibit? Do you see where it says plaintiff's exhibits? If you go into that folder that you were sent, it says defendant's exhibits, other materials, plaintiff's exhibits.
I don't see that.
Then I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I guess
Details.
maybe what you need for today, put your separator pages in. One PDF, one exhibit should be in one PDF file. Put your separator page, then your exhibit, then email to me what you have, and then I will try to upload it, but I won't be able to do it until later.
Okay. Let me change my password and let me just go at this afresh. Current password, I've got that. I'm going to do this exercise. Verifying. There's always a way to get through. Always.
Maybe you should try to do it through Mr. Fahim's email. Mr. Raz's email address.
Fahim?
You can try to do it that way. And I can send him a link. If you give me his email.
Okay.
Yeah. You need to turn off your.
Just a minute. Let me take a photo. I'm doing an experiment with changing out the password.
Okay. I muted her, so can you tell me what your email address is? Mr. Raza?
Can you hear me now?
Is she she's muted. You're still
okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. FAHEEM.com.
Okay. So I just sent you the invitation, so you'll have to create a free account. So I just sent it. Let me know if you received it.
Let me get the page on that divider page.
So I just sent you an email.
Okay, I'll work on that. But when we have to resume again the court trial?
1:30.
1:30. So we have plenty of time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take my break and hopefully.
Please go ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Hey, I got a new